are the different properties of constructor? Raise your hand. What are the different properties of constructor? Yes, Nimesa?
So it is a special number method whose class name is same as that constructor name.
Okay, method name is same as that of
The
constructor name.
constructor name.
Class name. Okay, all right. Any other?
So it has no return time present in it, not even void.
Okay, just wait, just wait. All right. Yes, Sambram, any other points?
Yes,
Sambram?
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So it cannot be abstract, static, or final. And there are two types of constructor. That is one argument constructor that is default, and second is parameterized constructor.
And what about copy constructor?
Yes, copy constructor.
Okay. All right. All of you unraise the hand now. Who can explain me when the JVM will call the default constructor? Yes, Ipsan?
So when we won't provide any constructor in the program, then it will automatically call the default constructor.
So what will happen in the default constructor is called?
So it will provide the values if into the data types.
Yes, it will provide the default values based on the data type.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All of you understand the hand? Who can say me what is a copy constructor? What is a copy constructor? Yes, sir. Bhavani?
Sir, a constructor that can take reference of its class as argument. That is,
Very
it is
good.
used to copy an object to another object.
Yes, it is used to copy the data members of one object into the data members of another object. Very good, very good. Okay, all of you understand? Okay, so now let us start the class. Okay, again some new concept. Try to understand. So the codes are big. I can realize that it is not like that of ICP, 4 lines, 5 lines of code or 10 lines of code. The codes are big, but try to understand. And any doubt, just ask me. Okay. This is very, very important for your branch. This subject is very important. So now, let me explain the concept with the help of the whiteboard. Okay. All of you try to understand first. Suppose I am saying that the class name is student. I have created one object S. Then new, then student. Okay. So, but what is actually happening when this statement is executed? Who can explain what is actually happening when this statement is executed? Raise your hand. Yes, Gyanaranjan.
Sir, S is the object reference. Then the line is executed, then the memory allocation for S is allocated in area.
Memory for S is allocated in the heap area, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So can you say what is whether object reference and object both are same?
No, sir.
So what is object?
Sir.
Okay. Isandeep, can you say what is object and what is object reference?
Sir, object is the name to that class variable as a whole.
Where, so S is the object or object reference, or both are same?
So both are not as same, but here S is the reference to the class object, and object is the memory allocation in the heap when the S is pointing. It is the object.
Okay, what about the memory allocation for S?
S is in the stack memory, and S is using the reference of that object memory allocated in the heap.
Yes. So you have to remember, realize this concept before moving towards the next concept. Okay. So I am saying that till now we have discussed about two memory. One is stack, okay, and one is heap. So whenever I will write the statement student S only, let's say student S semicolon, what happened? A memory is allocated in the stack area for S. This S is called as object reference. Reference means it is referencing to some other memory location. And whenever I am calling this new student, what happened? Let's say student has two data members or two instance variables. So one instance variable is name and second instance variable is role. So this is my name. Okay. So whatever value I will give through constructor or get data, that will be stored here. And this is the role. And what happened? S is referencing to this memory location. Okay. So remember that S is the object reference and S is referencing to the object. So this is the object of the class, which is in for which the memory is allocated in the heap area. Any doubt in this case? Prince, any doubt? Okay. So now, yes, Aditi, tell.
Can you explain again?
Okay. So whenever I will write a statement student S equal to new student, I am declaring one object reference S. So this object reference for S, the memory is allocated in the stack area. This is object reference means it is referencing to some memory location. So whenever I am using the new operator, I am allocating memory for the object in the heap area. If I am saying that the class student has two instance variable, one instance variable name, another instance variable role. So for the object, the memory is allocated in the heap area and the object reference is referencing to that object. So that's why I'm writing that S dot name, S dot role, S dot get data, S dot show data, because this S is referencing to that object. Are you realizing?
Yes.
Okay. So now question arises that if I can declare a single object reference, is there any concept called array of object? Someone has asked yesterday that, sir, can we go for array of objects? So I have just told, let us discuss that first, although in the slide that is not present at the beginning. Okay, so that is present at the end. So I feel that let us discuss that because someone has asked yesterday about that question. Okay, so now all of you try to understand this code. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can ask. All right, let me explain it very slowly. All of you try to understand. Once you realize, I will give some time to write the code. While writing, realize and write. Okay, very important concept. I have defined a class called employee1. It consists of 3 data members or instance variable. One is name, one is branch, one is ID. Then this is called parameterized constructor. Why constructor? Because the name of the method is same as that of class name. And why parameterized? Because it takes 3 parameters. If the constructor does not take any parameter, then that is called as no argument constructor. So you know the role of constructor. It is used to initialize the instance variable, 3 instance variable. I'm initializing that with the help of this parameter. So what I can write? I can write that name equal to n, ID equal to I, branch equal to B. So remember that you can say that, sir, why not in the same order? It doesn't matter. Okay, it doesn't matter because you are mentioning the name. No issues. I can write initialize ID equal to I first, branch equal to B, or I can initialize name equal to n at the end. No issues. Okay. So any order you can initialize. Then there is a display method. It is displaying the data members of the class. You are acquainted with this method. No need to explain. It has displayed the value of name and branch and the ID. That is the employee ID. Now all of you try to understand. Very, very important. So let us go to the main method. Employee1 square bracket emp equal to new employee1 3. Who can explain this statement? Raise your hand. Yes, Isandip.
Sir, here we are. Sir, can you highlight? Sorry.
Okay.
So here we're saying that we are making an object of employee, which is going to be an array before that equals. So after that equals, we are actually referring that memory allocation with a new employee of 3. That is, we are going to make 3 references of that employee 1, which are going to point 3 memory allocation of that object in the heap. 3 different.
So in the heap area, we are allocating the
3 memories for that 3 different objects.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Prince. Yes, Prince, explain.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, here array of class employee1 is created with size 3.
Okay.
And whatever we and the values of the elements of this array will be stored in heap area, and emp is a reference array variable which will be stored in stack memory.
Okay. Okay. So EMP is going to be stored in the stack area, and 3 objects are created in the heap area. Are you saying like this?
Oh, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Yes, Subhasis?
Yes, sir. Sir, here we have created the array in the class name, that is employee. So we will store the object of employee class.
We will store the object of employee class. So how many object?
3, sir.
3 object. How many reference?
3 reference, sir.
3 reference. All right. So okay. All right. So now listen carefully what I am saying. If I am saying that student S, okay, you know that S is the object reference. You are allocating memory in the stack area for S. Fine. Now let us look at the code. If I will go for employee 1 square bracket EMP, can anyone say that how many object reference I will create? Can anyone say? Yes, yes, Subhasis?
Sir, I think it will be 3.
So just make me clear whether you are going for 3 object reference or 3 object.
Sir, 3 objects.
Then how you know that 3 object reference?
Oh, yes, sir, it can be 3 object reference or may not be.
It can be or may not be. Okay, Isandip?
So it's going to be a 3 reference to 3 different objects in the heap.
Wait. How you know that 3 reference?
So the new employee 3 we are seeing that we are going to make an array of the references, and the references are going to be of 3. So it's going to be a 3 different memory allocation for 3 different references.
Okay. Yes, Gyanaranjan?
Sir, I think one object reference is created and it refers to 3 different objects.
That means same object reference is pointing to 3 memory location of the heap, correct? Okay, all right. So all of you try to explain me this one. This is the constructor, correct? All of you try to explain me this one, okay? This is the parameterized constructor the user has defined, and you all are saying that 3 objects will be created. Where is the parameter? Where is the parameter where I have provided the name, branch, and the ID? Can anyone explain? Because the JVM is not going to provide the default constructor. You all are saying that 1 object reference, 3 objects, then where is the parameter for the objects? Can anyone explain? Yes, anyone? Sanskar is there or not?
So can you show the code, sir, please?
Yes. Because the JVM is not going to call the default constructor, because user has explicitly given one parameterized constructor. So if you are saying that 3 objects are created, where is the parameter for the 3 objects? So now let us discuss the concept. Very important. Okay. If you have doubt, you can ask. So as we all know, Java supports OOPS concept, where everything is all about objects which are variables of type class. So once a class is defined, then we may create a single object or multiple objects of the same class type. And you all know how to create a single object. Let us focus on the creation of multiple objects. So if you want to store a single object in your program, then you can do so with the help of a variable of type object. But when you are dealing with numerous objects, then it is advisable to use an array of objects. Array can contain multiple homogeneous primitives, int, char, etc., as well as object, that is non-primitives, that is references of a class depending on the definition of array. In case of primitive data types, the actual values are stored in contiguous memory location. But in case of objects of a class, the actual objects are stored in the heap area. So very important, all of you try to understand what you have told now that is not correct. It must be noted that the array can hold only references to the objects and not the objects themselves. That means I can say what? That statement explain about 3 object references rather than 3 objects. Okay? Again, I am saying that array can hold only references to objects and not the objects themselves. Okay, just a look at here. So declare and instantiate the array of objects. Okay, so an array of objects is created using the class name and the square bracket as follows. So class name square bracket obj array name equal to new class name size. So let us consider a class employee. You want to create array of objects with size 3 for the class employee. Now look at here. Initialize array of objects. Once the array of object is instantiated, you have to initialize it with values. As the array of objects is different from an array of primitive types, you cannot initialize the array in the way you do with primitive types. An array of object contains references to the actual class object. Hence, once the array of object is declared and instantiated, you have to create actual objects of the class. One way to initialize the array of object is by using the constructors. So when you create actual objects, you can assign initial values to each of the objects by passing values to the constructor. So we can initialize the array of objects individually or using the loop. Let us try to understand this one. Remember what happened. Employee square bracket EMP. So declaration of EMP. It's an array. It's an array of what? It's an array of references. Okay. So EMP equal to new employee 3 instantiation. So EMP 0, EMP 1, EMP 2, that is in the stack area. But if I will write here EMP I equal to new employee, then what happened? Memory is allocated for the object in the. Are you all realizing now? Are you realizing now?
Sir,
Again, let's explain this again. But when I'm here, bracket EMP equal to new employee 1 3. So EMP is the array of objects. That's why for int I is equal to 0, I less than EMP dot length I plus plus. Let me enter the information for each object. Okay. So let me enter the name. I have entered the name through the keyboard. Let me enter the branch. I have entered the branch through keyboard. Let me enter the employee ID. I have entered the employee ID through keyboard. Now look at here, the object is created. EMP I, that is I equal to 0, EMP 0, new employee 1. I'm passing the parameters name, branch, ID. Now the object is created in the heap area, and what happened? Whenever the object is created, the members, that is name, branch and ID, is initialized for EMP 0. Then what happened? Again I plus plus, I will be 1, 1 less than EMP dot length. EMP dot length is equal to 3, 1 less than 3. Again I have to enter the information of employee I plus 1, that is employee 2. I have to enter the name, branch and ID. Then again I have to allocate the memory for the second object. Now EMP1 is referencing to second object in the heap area. Okay, so like that this process is repeated, and for all the object I am displaying the data members by calling empi.display. Any doubt you can ask now. Yes, Sambram, tell.
Sir, when we created the object for the EMP, in the last part EMP square bracket I, the objects, 3 objects are created, or it is created one by one?
One by one. One by one. Because the constructor is called 3 times after passing the values. Yes or no? After passing the 3 values, the constructor will be created. Constructor will be called. So the constructor is called one by one. Are you realizing now?
Yes, sir.
So unless I will not provide this value, I cannot call simultaneously 3 times the constructor. Yes, sir. Any other doubt? Okay, so let me explain this again. Okay, very important concept. Just try to understand. If you have doubt, then ask me. But during my explanation, all of you please listen and also write. Okay, because we should not wait for long time to write the code. But writing is very important. These things are not present in the slide. Okay, so just try to understand. Okay, so I'm saying that there is a class called employee1. Then 3 data members, name, branch, and ID. Then parameterized constructor. As you all know, constructor is used to initialize the data members of the class. So I can say that name equal to n, ID equal to I, branch equal to b. I have initialized the data members. Then you are very much acquainted with this method. Display, it is used to display the data members of the class. Okay, or instance variables. Then the main method. In this case, I have created one array of object reference. Okay, and how many object reference? 3 object reference. Okay, and for the 3 object references, what I have done, I have entered the data members value for one object reference. Then I have created one object. So first object reference point to or reference to one object. Then again I++, I have again provided the parameters values, and again the constructor is called, and second object is created, and the object reference is pointing to the second object. Again I++, I will become 2 less than emp.length, that is correct. So what happened? Again I am entering those values, and again I am creating the third object. Then I becomes 3 less than emp.length condition false. It will come out of the for loop. Again, there is another for loop to display the data members for each object. So any doubt you can ask. If no doubt, then I will ask someone to explain. Any doubt? Okay. So let us give 2 minutes time. Okay, it's now in my clock. It's 11:29. Okay. So all of you, please write down the code in the copy. While writing, try to understand, and if you have doubt, then ask me. If you do not have the doubt, I will ask someone to show me the copy, and I will ask someone to explain the code. So time is 2 minutes. Quickly write down the code in the copy. Those who have completed, raise your hand. Only 7 students have completed. 1 minute more. Quickly complete. Okay, Asit, have you completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, show me the copy.
Sir, I'm on my computer, so.
Very good, very good. Show me the system. Present the system.
Sir, I have written it in my copy.
Huh?
So
Okay.
like, I have.
All right. Okay. I can't understand why only 11. What about the others? Thirteen. Aniket, have you completed? Anubhav? Anubhav, have you completed?
No, sir, I'm writing. Last 2 lines.
Okay. Vaishali, have you completed?
So last part.
Pradha?
Yes, sir, writing just last 2 lines.
Okay. Now all of you understand. It's around 15, 16. Okay, all right. All of you understand now. So who can explain the code? Raise your hand. Okay, let us start from Gyanaranjan. Okay, Gyanaranjan, explain the code. Okay, all of you listen. Okay, after some time I will ask someone else. From that point you have to explain. Yes, Gyanaranjan.
So first of all, we create another class employee.
Okay.
Sir, it consists of 3 data members: name, branch, and ID.
Okay.
After that, we define a constructor. Employee 1 consists of 3 parameters.
So which type of constructor?
So parameterized constructor.
Very good. Parameterized constructor. Then
we declare 3 variables that store the name, branch, and ID.
Okay.
For that, we define a method display.
Okay.
It consists of 3 display statements: the name of the employee, branch of the employee, and the ID of the employee.
Okay.
And after that, the main method.
Okay,
here,
just wait. Let me ask to someone else. Yes, Aditi, can you explain?
So here in the main method, employee EMP equals to new employee is created, that is an object. Sorry, object reference.
Yes.
Then scanner SC equals to new scanner system.in. Then a for loop is there. With I equals to 0, I less than emp.length, I plus plus. Then we enter the information of the employee in I equals to 0, where the object is created at the end. exp I equals to new employee, name, branch, ID.
Okay.
Then I plus plus means I equals to 1. And again we enter the information, and then second object is created, and then I plus plus I equals to 2. Again we enter the information, and third object is created. And then for loop is dominated as the the condition is false.
Okay.
And then I equals to int I equals to 0, I less than emp dot length, I plus plus. So display method is called for 3 times.
Okay. So let us look at the output. Okay. Let us look at the output, and so I'm entering the information of employee 1. Okay. And suppose I hope that you all be selected in one company. So for one company you will be the employee, and I'm going to take those names, those who are not vigilant in my classroom. All right, so let me take first one is Akash. So let me enter the name of the employee as Akash, and branch is CSC, and let's say employee ID is 1. And let me go for the second employee. Okay, for the second employee, let me go for Anup. All right, so the name of the employee is Anup, and branch is also CSE, and the ID is equal to 2. Let me go for the third employee, and third employee is let's say Himadri. I have not interacted. Okay, let me enter the name of the third employee, that is Himadri, and enter the branch. Branch is CSE, and enter ID, that is 3. And all the 3 employee information is going to be displayed because of that for loop and 3 time call to the display method. So any doubt till now? Yes, Sambram, any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So now, who can say one demerits of this code? Who can say, looking at the output, one demerit of this code? Raise your hand. Anyone? Just try. If it is not related with the concept, just try. looking at the output, who can say what will be the demerit of the code? Yes, no one? Just try, it may be wrong, no issues. Okay, yes, Aditi, tell.
So we have to give only specific size.
Specific?
Size. Means the three which you have provided.
No, that is correct. Okay, all right. Okay, anybody else? Yes, Nimesa?
So here at a stretch, we have to first enter the data, then only we are getting the display part. Whereas at the past when we were doing, we were giving a data, and at the next moment we were able to display it.
Okay, that is also fine. That is also fine. All right. So that also we can do that, no issues. Anything else? Just try, it may be wrong, no issues. Gyanaranjan?
Sir, I think it is very complicated as compared to the previous one.
Okay. All right. Okay. So just I have mentioned that, let's hope that you all have joined a single company. And whenever I'm looking at the output, I found that the branch of the employee is CSE, the branch of the employee is CSE, the branch of the employee is CSE, 3 times CSE. And in your section, let's say 65 times CSE. That means I can say, if I will go to the heap memory, so one memory is allocated for 60 objects and which hold the same value, that is CSE. Is it not the limitations? So why I will go for the memory allocation for 60 objects for a variable which hold the same value? So can I go for another approach where for different object name and role will be there, and for the CSE one memory will be there, like here, that is branch which holds CSE, and I can say that all the object is, let's say this is S0, this is S1, this is S2. So all the object is accessing its own data member, and also all the object is accessing this memory. Is it possible? Is it possible? Yes or no? So obviously this is possible, and the concept behind this is called as the static data member. Okay, if you will go for that static data member, what I can say that only a single memory is allocated, and all the object references is accessing to that location, and this belongs to all object. So obj1, obj2, obj3, any object referenced by any object reference, they can access this branch. It is not an issue. Okay, so this variable branch, we can modify it to static so that a single memory is allocated. And now we will say that since this is for all object, so now it is a special variable and called as static variable, that is class variable. So this is for the entire class. Okay, so now let us go for, since this is the end part, we have completed first because someone has asked yesterday about the array of objects. So now let us go for the concept of static data members. Okay, static variables. So all of you try to understand. So computer programs need to allocate memory to store data values. A variable acts as a container that stores data values for all programming languages. In Java, objects are variables of type class, which store data values of the class data members. So we can say that size of object is equal to the total size of its data members. This statement is partly true. Let us consider the following programming example. Let's say, so string name, registration number, string branch, then a parameterized constructor. Then inside this I have created, just I have mentioned here CSC, CSC. According to the memory management rule in Java, for each object, individual memory is allocated for all the data members of a class and data values are initialized. So in this programming example, we have created two student objects, okay, and initialized by the values are shown in the figure. Look at here, S1 is one object reference. It is a referencing to the object which has values Rahul, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, CSC. S2 is another object reference which refers to a memory location which consists of again Sachin, 5, 6, 4, 5, 3, 4, and the branch is CSC. So in this programming example, we have created two students objects, S1 and S2, and initialized the values as shown in the figure. So in this program, we observed that branch is common to all objects, that is CSC. So in this context, we may think it is not a proper memory management where a data value common for all objects and we are unnecessarily allocate individual memory location to the same data member for each individual object. Are you all realizing this point, or any doubt you can ask? So focus is what? One memory location for the object that is common to all. Okay, no need to allocate the memory for every object. So now the big question arises, can we solve this problem by allocating a single memory location that can be shared by all the objects? The answer is yes. In Java, a special non-access modifier called as static, which is a keyword used for memory management. We can apply static keyword with variables and methods. So what are the characteristics of static variables? Only a single copy of static variable is created and shared among all the instances of the class, that is all the object reference of the class. Memory allocation for such variables only happens once when the class is loaded in the main memory. Whenever the class is loaded, then I can say that the memory will be allocated for that. It is not that whenever I will go for the creation of the object using new operator, memory will be allocated. Because this is not for the individual object, this is for the entire class. Static variables must be initialized at the time of declaration. Okay, if not, then static variables are automatically initialized by default values of its corresponding data type, just like done by the JVM. So visibility is similar to instance variables. However, outside the class, static variables can be accessed by calling with the class name as class name dot variable name. Static variables are part of class rather than the object. How to declare a static variable? Just use the keyword static just before the variable or data type. Okay, static data type variable name equal to value. Let us go for one code based on the static variable. Okay, if you have doubt, then ask. Okay, listen carefully now. I have defined a class called student4. Two data members, string name, role. Another static variable, that is static string branch equal to CSC. Then student4 string n intr, because for every object now two individual data members. The third one is the shared one. Okay, we are not focusing on the shared one for the constructor. So student4 string n intr. Then what we have done? Name equal to n, role equal to r. Then we have defined the display method just like to display the members of the class. So we are displaying the name, role, and branch. Okay. So now inside the main method, mark here, I have created one object S1 and passed the parameters Sachin and 1. Okay, let me create, let's say this is go for Rahul. Okay, so student 4 S2, new student 4 Rahul, and let's say the corresponding ID is 2. So S1 dot display, S2 dot display. Let me display the code. Just look at here, the branch is CSC, but a separate memory only once is allocated for the branch. That static a keyword helps a proper memory management approach in Java. So any doubt we can ask. Isandip, yes, tell.
Sir, the static is using which memory, stack or heap, sir?
No. So the memory called as class memory. Okay. So just look at here. Just look at here for that code that we have discussed. In the stack area, S1 and S2. In the heap area, we have allocated memory for data member name and the ID, the registration number. And in the class area, we have allocated one memory that is called as branch. Okay, a single memory is allocated in the class area. So the class student consists of two instance variable name, registration number, along with one static variable branch, which is initialized by CSE. When the objects for class student are created, memory is allocated only for instance variables name and registration number in heap area as shown in the figure. Only a single memory for static variable branch is allocated other than the heap area in class area, and both S1 and S2 refer to the same memory location. So mark here, S1 and S2 is referring to the class area. Okay, so static variables can be treated as the common property of all objects, which is not unique for each object like instance variable. So for instance variable, this is unique for each object. Rahul and registration number is different. For Sachin, registration number is different. They are not same as that of Rahul, but branch is same for every object reference. Okay, so our static variables are part of class rather than object. Such variables are called as class variable. Are you realizing or any doubt? Ayush, any doubt? Ayush Verma? Yes, Aditi, tell.
So the branch is different.
Branch is?
Different.
So you have to think while writing the code. You have to think. If you think that yes, branch must be different, then we should make it as a normal instance variable. And if you think that yes, if I will go for the student class, okay, and I am entering the student information for one section, then I found that for that section, the section and branch will be same. So I can make both the data members as static. So it depends upon the coder who is writing the code. Okay. Yes, Rohan, tell.
Sir, if we want to enter that CSE value by user, means we do not want to initialize it in the instance variable, then what should we do?
Okay. So I have not tried. Let me try. I have not tried. Okay.
Supposedly, if we try from the scanner class, sir, what code should we write?
Okay. So if we will not provide any values, so JVM will provide the null values. Let us check and let us run the code. I have not tried actually that one. Let me try that one. So just look at here. The branch of the student is null. The branch of the student is null. Okay. So after this, let's say if I can write the class name is what? Student 4. So student 4 dot. And the branch, the static variable name is branch equal to, this is a string type, let's say CSE. Now it is working. That means if I will run the code, now it is CSE. That means here, if I can write like this, I can also enter the value through keyboard, no issues. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
So remember that this is the class variable. So I can access this outside the class using what? Using the class name dot branch. So can I access the name and roll number by the class name? Let us check here. So class name is student 4 dot name equal to this row. This is a normal data member. Can I write? This is not possible because this is not a class variable. Are you realizing now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other doubt? Okay. So now who can explain this code? Raise your hand, and in the meantime, all of you write down this code in the copy. Who can explain the code, or you want the explanation again from me? You can ask, no issues. But who can explain the code? Raise your hand. Only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The strength is 63. I am not expecting 8. Okay. So let me ask to a new student who has raised the hand. Yes, Asit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, explain.
So here, so we create the class student 4.
Yes.
Where we create the data members name, role, which are the instance variables. So they will be unique for every student.
Every object. Yes, correct.
Every object. So yes, a student object. But they all share the same branch, and we do not want to write the same branch for each object repeatedly.
Okay.
So we create a static variable so that it will contain only like one variable. Here the string branch is CSE.
Okay.
So for each and every object, it will be CSE.
Okay. So one memory is shared by all object.
Yes, sir. The class memory.
Yes. That's what is called a class variable. Okay. Very good. Then continue.
So then we create the parameterized constructor where we initialize the name and the role.
Very good.
Then the display function where we display.
Okay.
Then we move to public class static variable 1 where we create the main function.
Okay.
And we create the objects S1, S2 with the parameters Sachin and 1 and Rahul and 2.
Okay.
And if by any chance we declare a static variable inside the class, but like we haven't initialized it, given it a value. So outside the class, we can use object name dot class name. Then we can give it.
Again, not object name. Class name dot static variable.
Static variable. So I'm just a bit
okay.
Of slip
Yes. Okay. All right.
So and that will do the same function as like declaring and initializing it inside the class. Then we just S1 dot display and S2 dot display to display.
So whenever the display method is called, the control will move to the display method, and it is going to display the value of name, roll number, and branch of the student. Okay. Yes, and all of you remember one important point. The memory for the static variable is not allocated in the heap area. It is allocated in the class area. Just look at this diagram. You can easily understand for every object, for all instance variable, memory is allocated in the heap area. But this branch is the static variable. The memory is not allocated in the heap area, rather than it is allocated in the class area, and all the object reference is referencing to that area. So a single memory, but is shared by all object. Okay. So any doubt? Raise your hand. If no doubt, then we will stop here. Any doubt? Yes, Aditya, any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ask.
So can you show the code once?
Yes.
So here in the main function, we have written S4 dot branch equals to CSE.
Yes.
So can the user input it? Means by the standard class.
Obviously, yes. Why not? If we will write like this.